If there's one thing that someone who hopes to grow financially can never forget, is the importance of trying to find the next big industry. Because while you might find the right combination of companies and assets for your portfolio for a certain period of time, we've seen time and time again how quickly industries can change. So taking the time to find something right for yourself can make the difference between being one of the people who invested in Apple in the 80s and those who kept holding their Yahoo stock in the early 2000s. And so, to help you out today, we are going to be talking about what are, in our opinion, the fastest growing industries in the world right now. Number 1, cloud computing. Now this might be confusing to a few of you, and that's because for the most part, the cloud computing industry has been around for a long time. But you see, it's only in the past 3 or 4 years, with the advent of faster internet like 5G and better digital technologies, that this industry has grown from being something you had just to store data on to something that you can actually use to get work done. But the real kicker in the case of these kinds of platforms has been, without a doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic. As we are sure literally every person on this planet has witnessed, this pandemic has created an entirely new generation of workers who specialize in using online technologies to do their jobs. This has opened up an entirely new market for cloud computing. As a result, we have seen massive growth in this sector, both in terms of technology development and as an investment choice. Also as a result, the worldwide cloud computing market will reach $1,251 billion in value within the next 6 years. And if that continues, then we can expect to see a nearly 20% annual growth rate between now and 2030, meaning that if you're interested in playing the game for a long time, you could very well become the next millionaire by investing in the right companies, from everyone's favorite Zoom to stuff like Salesforce, Unity Software, and The Trade Desk. Now, that covers an industry that has existed in more or less the same form for quite a while, but in comparison, this next industry is something that is not only new to the game, but might just change the world. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about everyone's least favorite science fiction technology. Number 2, biotechnology. Now, we know how tempting it is to imagine the ability to clone dinosaurs and create biological robots, but the thing is that, at least for now, the entire biotechnology sector has really only real business with one thing and one thing only: the development of medicinal drugs, more specifically vaccines. That's right, we're talking about the pandemic again, because if there is one thing that the 2020s will not allow us to have, is some respite from the effects of this seemingly endless plague. But come to think of it, with COVID-19 being the first instance of global pharma companies directly competing to produce the vaccine at a historically unprecedented rate, there has got to be some effect on the industry in general. In the past months, the total venture capital funding invested in life science companies has reached record highs by raising more than $30 billion in the Pacific Northwest alone. And all in all, the size of the international biotechnology market is expected to reach over $2.5 trillion by the end of this decade, forecasting an expected annual growth rate of 7.4%, which makes this industry one of the safest and most reliable for you to add to your portfolio, because if there is one thing we can be sure of, you never know when you are going to need a miracle cure. If that sounds up your alley, some of the best companies to invest in within this sector are stuff like Axsome Therapeutics and Exelixis. If you're loving this video, then make sure to subscribe and leave a comment saying "I subscribed," and we will personally reply to your comment. Next up, an industry that no one really expected to show up on one of these lists, but has nonetheless surprised investment experts worldwide. Number 3, green energy. We have a feeling that if you told someone from 4 or 5 years ago that the future of investments would be green energy, they would have laughed at you, and we would not blame them. But the thing is, in developed countries such as the ones in Europe and North America, the renewable energy market is quickly becoming the fastest growing and the largest energy source in many places. This has been the result of landmark technological developments, growing concern against global warming, and stricter legislation forcing industries to look to energy sources other than oil. In just the past decade, the industry has seen a growth of nearly 100%, and with the federal government cracking down on non-renewable energy, that number is only expected to get higher. According to Forbes, this year will represent a record year for renewable energy deployment. And while the number of companies currently involved in the sector is small, that might not necessarily be a bad thing, because you can currently invest in small, easy-to-buy companies that might grow into massive names in the future. Moving on, let's talk about an industry that, if it is as successful as it seems, might be the start of a completely new era in finance. Number 4, data analytics. Now, we understand why people continue to grow more opposed to this industry, but the thing is that just in terms of how valuable it is, it would be stupid not to invest in it. From entertainment companies like Disney and Netflix to your good old social media advertisements on Instagram and Facebook, there are few places where you will not find some application of data analysis software. And besides selling your information and using it to give you more targeted ads about that toaster you've apparently always wanted, this industry plays a dozen other roles. Everything from gathering data for research that helps build solid strategies in stuff like product development to customer satisfaction and more. Consequently, this cornerstone of the industry has reached quite dizzying heights in an equally dizzying amount of time, now being valued at over $30 billion, with such companies as Snowflake, Alteryx, and Datadog being prime investment opportunities for most people. And finally, we have the industry that has the fastest growing potential of any of the industries that we have talked about today. Number 5, sustainable industries. Now, if you think that you're suffering from déjà vu, don't worry, because you're not alone there. In fact, when we started researching this video, we also thought that sustainable industries and renewable energy are basically the same things. But you see, there is one key difference. Renewable energy is just focused on finding better methods to generate electricity itself, while sustainable industries are companies that are trying to shift already existing industries from their old ways into more environmentally conscious new ones. So where a renewable energy company would be trying to develop, say, a solar panel, someone in the sustainable industry would be trying to develop some kind of construction equipment or a computer or a car, all of which should be able to run on that electricity without negatively impacting the environment. And as the environmentally conscious craze sweeps every single industry out there, this small sector will soon have an influence on every single other one. In fact, we have already started to see the effects, as just 2 years ago, this industry, worth a respectable $10.32 billion, has grown to reach a whopping $74.64 billion. That's right, not in a decade, not in 5 years, but in just 2 years, we have seen a neat 7-fold increase in the industry's market size. And it is just getting started. And well, that is something that can be said for every one of the industries that we talked about today. Because if we are being honest, any one of these industries could make a difference for you, and if you play your cards right, you will realize that you don't need to be rolling in cash to become a millionaire. And if you found this video useful, then you'll love these. And be sure to like this video to let the YouTube algorithm know you'd like to see more videos like this one.